you doing there? Phil Moufarrege, growthevoice.com. This video that you're watching here is the making of my recent song, Wake Up Call. This video is for you if you're having trouble coming up with music and going, hey, you know, like, I don't know where to start with my own songs. What is each step supposed to look like from the start to middle to finished product? What sort of software do I need? What sort of hardware do I need? What programs do I need? What instruments do I need? This video is for you if you're a singer who is getting better at singing. You've got ideas for songs, but you're just starting to find, like, you know, okay, I've got these ideas, but how do I bring them into reality? This video is for you if you want to know how to take something that's average and turn it into something cool. This video is for you if you find that you don't have enough creative ideas, if you find you get lost, or if you find you have too many ideas and you don't know how to settle on the idea. And finally, this video is for you if you cannot find the motivation to get off your ass and do what you know you got to do to become a better artist. So hopefully you find this video interesting, inspiring, and gets you to start making your music and gets you to really understand where you're going to go. So let's jump into it. First, we start with the hardware. This is an audio interface that plugs straight into the laptop or PC through the USB cable, okay? From here, this device, I can then plug in my microphone, which I've got here, or I can plug in my guitar, which I can plug straight into there, and any other kind of instrument that goes straight in. This is how you start to record. So how do we actually use this to record something? I use a program called Reaper, and this is what it looks like here. And in the options, I can pull up my device here, this thing. So that audio interface that I just showed you plugs straight into here, and here it is. It can record. Now I'm going to show you where this song very first started and how different it was to the final version. So that's where the song very first started. It's completely different. And this is what I want to show you today, is that the destination, and this is what I want to show you today, is that where you choose to finish a song is completely up to you. I could have decided that was a song just then and started to finalize that. But I wasn't satisfied, so I kept moving on and I kept moving on. So I'm going to show you how this kind of started. So here's a tip if you get too many ideas. What you want to do is you want to basically set a limitation to yourself. So a limitation I wanted to set, or an idea, a framework I wanted to work from was, okay, I'm going to literally come in with the perspective of just making a melody and making stacks of melodies that harmonize with each other. That way you get chords, but you come from it from a different angle, from going, instead of, I'm going to do an A major chord and a B minor chord, instead of coming at it from that angle, you come from the angle of, I'm just going to make melodies and then harmonize them together. So the first melody or riff is this. Right? It's that. And then basically I add in another melody that harmonizes with it. You know, you might be really advanced, you understand all this, but you might not be. You might just be trying to work out how to very first start making a song. So here's how it works. So here's another layer add. And I add another layer. I make sure they all drive the song rhythmically, so there's a rhythm to this. And here's another layer. So from all those layers above there here, I basically got the chord that I was interested in. And then so I record the chord separately here. And here's another layer. So it's very simple what I'm doing here, okay? So this is, if you are lost and you're like, I don't know any music theory, and just, I'm trying to make something. It's very simple. I'm going between like 2 notes there, okay? And this is how I've learned how to do music. I'm just going between 2 notes. And then I harmonize it with other melodies that work there, right? Like this. And then you get this. So when I'm at this point, I'm like, okay, I've got an idea here, but what's next? That song just can't be this, or at least I don't want it to be this. It could be that, but I don't want it to be that. Every idea propels you to the next idea, and that's kind of what I want to show you today, is that every idea propels you to the next idea. Don't be attached to one idea for too long. Throw it out. Use it as a springboard to the next idea. So that's where the idea first started. So I'm going to show you the next file that I saved after I developed the song a little bit further. Now this time I'm going to show you some of the actual plugins I use, because what I just showed you was just me recording through the microphone, picking up my acoustic guitar here. Okay, so here is a little bit later, a new file. I've worked on the song a little bit further, developed it, got more down with how I want the rhythm to go, started to get more chords to make a chord progression, and here's how it sounds. Just loops again and repeats. So I made a progression that loops and repeats. Okay, so already you can see this is completely different to the last file I just sent, and this is completely different to the final song. From the last file, some of the challenges I encountered was, okay, I've got a cool chord with some ideas on it, but it's not moving anywhere. It's the same chord going over and over and over. So my goal from there was like, okay, this sound is kind of cool. Now, how do I create more movement here? Well, to get more movement, I need more chords. Okay, and this is what a chord progression is. It's a series of chords that progress from one chord to the next in a way that's appealing. So to get past this hurdle, what I actually start to work on is the melody itself. You come up with the vocal melody on top of the chords that you just came up with. Then you mute all the chords and then see if you can work on that melody in isolation and see where it wants to go. Okay, from there, that will inspire where you've got to bring in new chord changes, new chord movements. And that's how I came up with more chord movement in the song. Now what I'm going to show you here now is the virtual instruments I use, because now I started to use electric guitar, a virtual instrument bass. I actually used a virtual instrument, a bass, MIDI bass basically. So it emulates the sound of a real bass guitar. And then the bass line's actually programmed in MIDI, like this. Now the bass is there. Everything else is real guitars, but now I'm using electric guitars. I'll turn them off so you can kind of hear here. using Guitar Rig as my kind of amp simulator. So what that does is I can just record straight into that red box I showed you, the audio interface. I can just plug my guitar straight in there, record, and then plug on this amp simulator, and it will give me the electric guitar sound. Now, a few things here. What was I thinking here? Okay, what I was thinking here was I needed some chords. I needed basically a song. This is basically a song here. It's a progression of chords. It has movements. It has a chorus and things like that. And then it can loop straight back to the beginning again. When I make songs, I like to make something I can loop back to the beginning. It's basically, the idea from that was when I used to work in the video game industry, and growing up on all these old video game songs. It's a song that loops back to the beginning again, and it can play infinitely. So I always try to create a loop. So a loop is, listen to how it repeats again. See, I just repeat seamlessly. That's what I'm trying to get. Now, I had the chords here, and then I was like, okay, I need to get a melody. So when I come up with melodies, I do a combination of two things. I riff vocally over the song, but at this point I hadn't done that. If I haven't got around to doing that, I'll do it with the guitar instead. So in this case, I did it with the guitar, and that way I can go, hey, I've got some ideas here. So a question you may be having is like, well, I'm trying to make a song. How do I decide when it's ready to be, when I've sold an idea? It's up to you, man. It's really up to you. This is the point about music production, is it's your choice. I could have, this can be a song itself. It's different enough from the final version. I could have said, hey, I want to make this a nice kind of mellow instrumental, and I could have just recorded this better, mixed it, and put it out to you guys. I may even do that. But at this stage, I wanted this song to head in a different direction. So it comes down to what direction you want it to head into. I knew that I wanted it to be a song that had vocals on it and drums on it, and I wanted it to be more lively than what it was here. So one of the things that I like to do is I come back to a single instrument. I always come back and just go, okay, guitar and voice. How does this sound when I just put it on the guitar with my voice? And when I do that, you quickly will find that if you don't have enough chord movement, the song becomes very repetitive. One concept that I like to do is I don't like to do chords really straight and vanilla. What I mean by that is a lot of people do their chords like this. I'll be like, it just sounds so boring to me, so vanilla. So there's something called harmonization or chord substitution, and basically it's the idea of you use different kinds of chords to get the same ideal feel. So for example, Bruno Mars, I should have bought you flowers when I had the chance. Instead of that, we go, I should have bought you flowers when I had the chance. See, it has a different sound now, so I prefer that kind of sound. It has a bit more of a jazzy feel to it, more kind of sexiness to it, a bit more swagger to it. So that's how I got from that first file to that second one you just saw there, is by working directly on the guitar. Now my next step was like, okay, I'm going to start riffing out here and getting some little vocals on here. Nothing final, just little sketches. Have a listen. There's gonna be and there's gonna these are some of the ideas. So this is kind of the process that I take. I'm just shooting in the dark, coming up with ideas. At this stage, I had a kind of chorus here. I'll show you what it would sound like. There's more where you came. Gotta give to me. So there's no lyrics, just saying gibberish, just coming up with hooks, melody lines, the placement of the song. Okay, like my mindset is, all right, like how's the song gonna start? How's it gonna get to this verse? Because this is the verse here. And I usually come up with the intro later. So I'm going like, okay, here's the verse. That way, if I can get the verse down, then I can work out how to start the song from an intro that leads into that verse. The other thing I'm doing is I'm using that guitar lead that I showed you before as a template. That's my template for the vocal melody. The vocal melody doesn't follow it exactly, but it's kind of like the idea, the first seed of the idea, the planting of the idea. So if you're frustrated making your music and going, you know, like, oh, I'm working on this music, I'm getting frustrated, I can't come up with a tight melody, can't come up with good vocal melodies or lyrics, just chill out and remember, you build it step at a time, you know. So what I like to do is just put on the beat, the tune, whatever I've got on loop for like half an hour, and I'm just singing over and over and over and on it. Just anything comes to mind. Need a space in my mind. Oh, doesn't matter. What you'll find though is that you'll find little tiny moments that you go, hey, that sounds kind of cool. That starts to build itself and build itself and build itself until you start to come up with ideas that you start to lean towards. You go like, hey, I want it to do this around this part of the song. I want to do that around that part of the song. And that's how you start to nail down exactly what you want. Because music is about choices. You can make a million different choices, but it's about nailing down the choices that sound best to you. But I need to build more flavor in the vocals. I need it to start softer and to get louder as the chorus kicks in. I can't just come in belting off the top, otherwise there's nowhere to go dynamically. So I started experimenting with lighter parts that I could theorize to be the verses down the track, like this. Gotta know that you don't and my smile bring my bell persuasive like mission door. And then like that. So from there I'm like, okay, I'm starting to nail down how I want this to go. I don't have lyrics yet. At this stage, I was starting to flesh out the actual instruments. I'll show you what started to change. I put in a little keyboard here, which stayed all the way up to the end. That's a virtual instrument, synthesizer. It's just a keyboard, and it goes in via MIDI, like that. So I can program any of the notes there. And what else did I have here? I had the guitars, panned hard left, hard right. That's the reason why you do that, is so you can create width in the middle for the vocals and the kick drum and the bass to cut through. So when I record it, it comes in like this. And then I put the amp simulators on top. This is utilizing the same concept I did it on the very first file, where it's like, okay, I'm just putting down melodies that harmonize with the underlying track, which is, the underlying track is the bass. So you take the drums here, and so here's the bass and the drums. And I'll show you what I use for the drums. So it's basically, it's a MIDI once again, and I use Superior Drummer. By the way, these don't come with Reaper, the program. These are separate instruments you actually have to purchase that will work with any kind of music program that supports VSTs. This is the bass track I've got. Sounds like the final version basically, right? So I drive the song from the bass and the drums always. I always listen to those things straight off the gate and try to get those two instruments tight as hell. Then I got the rhythm playing. And then I got these going on top. So I'll show you something that didn't make it into the final version. It's the kind of outro of the chorus that leads into the verse. I'll show you what it sounds like. Here's a tip about writing lyrics and how it slots in with the music. When I got to the point where I was writing lyrics, the song was pretty much done in terms of the feel of the song. So I didn't want to just write lyrics and then kind of slap it on top and then have it not be gelled together, if that makes sense. 'Cause there's a calm light in my sight. Now there's nothing to find. Ooh, 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 ooh. I'm gonna leave you prepared. Don't be scared. Starting from now. Whoa. Really rough vocals. I'm sorry about that, but I never intended this to be heard. Okay, so what I wanted to show you here though is that whole section here. I cut that out. Because what I ended up changing was, like I showed you that chord. It was, you know, like right, and then there's a part where it's like, there's a calm light in my sight. There's a calm light in my sight. But so an example of what I mean about making the lyrics gel was the word calm. It doesn't sound calm. This chord doesn't sound calm. It sounds kind of, to me, it's more exciting. You know, it's more of an adventurous chord. So I wanted the song to kind of become calm at that point, and that's what you hear in the instead of like calm, calm light, it ends up becoming and it goes to a whole new section. 'Cause there's a calm light in my sight. No, there's nothing to find. Right, so I had a new whole section because that chord sounded calm. And it gave me a good excuse to move away from this repetitive. I didn't want that just repeating over and over and then just going straight to a chorus. I needed a way to hook it in. So that's a little idea for you when you're making lyrics. Ask yourself, like, how do I want the music to represent this part of the song as well? So if you can take it in the other direction too. It's quite all right for you to have lyrics that are calm and then have a very aggressive sound underneath, just for the irony of that. Or some songs that the lyrics will be really sad, but the music's very happy, to kind of almost highlight the sadness of it. I know it sounds kind of strange, but Beethoven did that a lot in his Moonlight Sonata. The second part of the song, it's almost happy, but it's sad at the same time. So you can totally, you know, screw around with the audience that way. In the end, all that matters is your music's just got to sound cool. That's it. When, you know, you don't get too complicated. When I make music, all I'm trying to think is, hey, does this make me want to groove? That's all I'm thinking. Everything else stems from that. All of this here is me basically trying to take this whole song and play it on acoustic guitar and solidify the song. Because you get to the point where it's like, okay, you know, how do I get this to be really solid with an intro, a verse, a chorus, a bridge, chorus, and finish the song? How do I build this song up, make it a cohesive unit? So the way I do that, I showed you before, it comes back down to the acoustic guitar or any instrument of your choice, keyboard, whatever. But it's got to be something where I like to just bring it down to one instrument, not have 1,000 layers, you know, strings, guitars, keyboards, vocals, harmonies, blah, 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 blah. In my sight. No, there's nothing to find. A moment of stillness brings clarity. This is wake up call. Bring it all back down, voice and guitar, voice and keyboard, and try and get it solid in that state, because it will expose all the problems with the song, and it will also help you create more subtleties in the song, because you won't be able to play every single part because you don't have enough fingers. It'll cause you to grab all of your ideas and figure out how to phrase them on a single instrument. And that itself creates this cohesiveness. So I try to flesh it out, vocals and the guitar. So I'm like, you know, I had lost my element, the strength in my spine, and in my soul. Animosity had taken my breath. Simple frustrations in my head, straining myself on the ultimate prize. Now I'm able to change the time. Fucked it up. What I tend to do is I control the position of my mouth to determine how much I thin the tone. For this tone, you hear me cover the tone quite a bit. So, mistakes are as easy. So I'm hitting mistakes. I'm basically going mistakes like this, okay? Mistakes. I'm using support. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort because I'm good at thinning the voice up there. I'm not bringing up a lot of weight so much there. The idea is when I'm singing up in this range, I'm basically holding back my breath. I'm crying into the sound. I'm using very little air. It takes less air to sing than it does to speak right now, okay? I'm thinning in the tone. I'm singing basically through this position. Mistakes are as easy as sleep. And the singing like that is as easy as talking. The effort is very low. Belting is a whole nother story. Now, the vowels that I'm using up on there, mistakes, I'm on an A. When I'm on the A, the jaw drops and I actually modify to an E. I'm not thinking all this stuff, right? And if you're thinking like, man, there's a lot of stuff to think about, I'm not thinking all this stuff. I'm just singing and it happens. The reason why is because I've built in all this stuff over the years. You know, I've built it in to the voice. So the tongue will raise, the back part of the tongue, mistakes mistakes are as easy. The E vowel is really key because it helps thin the tone. So I really want to enunciate that E. I don't want to go mistake to an air. Mistakes are as, you know, because you're going to splat and it's going to sound terrible. You don't want to be modifying it to air as you go higher. Not in this, you know, mistakes are as slap. You don't want to modify it that way. You will start to choke and you're like, mistake. You're going to get that kind of sound. Don't go down that route, okay? So thank you for watching. This is the end of part 1. Yeah, I know, long video, right? Head over to this link here on the screen, put your name in the email list, and I'll send you part 2 straight to your inbox. It's another 30 minutes, but I think you're gonna glean a lot, and I think you're gonna find it really helpful and inspiring for your own music. So head over to the link, it's on this page here, put in your email, and you will get the second part to this video sent directly to your inbox.